Hey guys, it's Sam with the Blind Spot. This is part 3 of my interview with Derek Daniel. If you missed parts 1 and 2, there will be links in the description down below, as well as on-screen links at the end of this video. So that being said, please enjoy part 3 of my interview, and we'll see you next time. So you mentioned you had a guide dog, and you mentioned that
I
in
do.
your last video. So you would recommend that to people if they felt they needed a guide dog? That was a positive experience for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of the best. I'd do it again if I felt I needed a guide dog at this point. Um, and I went to free plug for them. I went to Leader Dogs for the
Hmm.
Blind, which is in Michigan. And actually, the way I found them was uh, I had a voc rehab counselor when I lost my sight, and I asked about a guide dog. Just like I didn't know. I was like, "Am I able to do that? Is that something?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "I'm not sure." He's like, "I think I have a card in my desk." And he just pulled out this random. He's like, "Here," And so it wasn't even like I did research or anything. I was just like, "Okay." So I called them, and they were fantastic. Like, great people. They understand blind people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so the dog was fantastic. My dog, his name was Scout. He was this beautiful yellow lab, very intelligent. Just, it was a fantastic experience. I'm not going to say every day was like wine and roses. Like he had, he was a dog,
Yeah.
but I'm so positive. I would encourage anybody um, who's thinking about it to apply, to go for it. And I have a video that on my channel, 5 things to think about before getting your guide dog or applying for your guide dog.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was positive. Loved it. Leader dogs all the way.
Yeah, that's a good idea to put out a video like that because I'm sure some people are like, "Oh, I can't see very well. I love animals. I'm gonna get a dog."
I'm gonna
And
get a dog. Yeah,
don't think it through all the way.
yeah. Well, and one thing I think I mentioned is like that dog goes everywhere with you,
Yeah.
which is good. But for me, one of the things I'm usually not alone all that much. I'm in enough of an area where it's not hugely walkable. I can walk to like the gas station and a few other things, but for the most part, I'm going to have to be in a car with somebody. And so then ends up the dog doesn't do as much as he potentially could because I usually just depend on the person I'm with and things like that. So just little things like that that you have to think about.
Yeah.
But if you're willing and ready and able, yeah, guide dogs are fantastic. Plus, people respond to you much better with a dog than they do with a cane. Like
Yeah.
people are like, "You got a dog, that's me," and then with a cane, like, "What's wrong with you?" So
Yeah.
it's much more. Now, granted, there are like, "Hey, I had a dog one time. Let me tell you about it." Like, what
Uh,
does your dog have to do with, with this? But that's all right. So
yeah. Well, one question, maybe you can answer because you have experience. I've been around a lot of people with guide dogs, and this is a question I've always wondered. I've never been with them when they take them out to the bathroom. How does
mhm.
someone that is totally blind know where the dog went to the bathroom to pick it up? Does the dog show you?
No, Ruff, ruff, here,
Yeah.
no. The hardest part of it is knowing when they're actually going. For me, low vision, I can kind of tell. Especially a yellow dog on a dark surface. I get the
Yeah.
contrast.
Yeah.
But what they tell you to do is when the dog actually goes number two, he will arch his back because they
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
the way dogs go to the bathroom, and so then you feel down to the end of the arch, and then once they leave, then you're right there at it.
Oh.
Now, the only problem with that is number one, you're touching the dog while he's going to the bathroom. I don't like to be touched while I'm going to the
No.
bathroom. So it's probably awkward for the dog, but I assume they get used to it because they probably had that done to them the whole time. But yeah, you just, and the other thing I would do is if I felt the leash stop, I'd always follow to the end of the leash, and at least I knew a general area, like, okay, I'll squat down here, and then when he walks off, I'll know kind of where it is. The only issue with that is they don't always walk off the way you think, and I have had the dog like walk the leash through the
Oh, yeah.
number two,
Yeah.
and the problem with that is I always would run my hand down the leash
Yeah.
to get to his collar, and
Yeah.
yeah, had that happen before, but yeah.
Like you said, it's not all wine and roses.
It's not all wine and roses, no. And the other thing about people ask you about the dog telling you things like, how does the dog does it when does the dog tell you to cross the street? Like the dog doesn't tell you to cross the street. Like it's not a robot. It's like,
Yeah.
and now, you
Yeah.
still have to know. You have to use all the skills like in orientation, mobility, and using the cane and things like that. It's just the dogs. Now the dog does do intelligent disobedience, as they call it.
Hmm.
For example, one time I did have a dog and with my dog, and I was standing, and as you give a forward command, and he didn't move, and I was like, okay. And if they don't move, they're always like, reassess, make sure, I was like, okay. And I gave it again, and right about that time, this car came zooming by. I was like, good boy, yeah. So yeah, they're very intelligent, but no, they don't tell you like how to get to the grocery store, or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
Well, since your channel is primarily about life after vision loss, what would you say? Any words of encouragement? We'll go out on this, and what would you say to people who have just recently lost their vision? Or actually, you know what? We'll change that. What do you say to parents who have children that have been recently diagnosed? I get this question a lot, and it's a tough one. So I'd like to get your input on that.
So what I would say to parents, that's always an interesting question. And I did meet a child one time who was visually impaired. They asked me to come to his school and talk to him. I had my guide dog at the time, so I got to pet him and things like that.
Hmm.
And for me, it was like gut wrenching because I know what it's like to be sighted and then lose my sight as an adult. Like I have emotions to deal with. But I've experienced a lot of things. And this child who was elementary school age, he asked me questions like, because he had been blind since birth, he asked me questions like, how high is the sky?
Oh, wow.
And what does red look like? Things like that. That I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I describe? It's higher than you think, that sort of thing. So, talking to parents, they have a different. It's not just like, hey, losing your sight's not the end of the world. It's their child. I mean, it's a whole
Yeah.
different ballgame. So,
Yeah.
for me, talking to parents, I would first say, you're going to have a lot of grief and loss that you're going to go through as a parent because your child is not going to have what you thought he was going to have. That doesn't mean he's not going to live his life and be wonderful, but it's not going to be the same. And so I'd be like, always experience the grief and the loss. Just let that be, and let your child express however he thinks, and try to help him and give he or she words, and things like that. Like, hey, how you doing today? If they look sad or whatever, try to give them the words to do that. But at the end of the day, try to find a balance between pushing them to live their life and secluding them from doing anything. Because some people will be like, don't ever go outside again because it's awful.
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh, we'll just keep on going and never stop. And they're forcing them to rock climb or whatever. You got to find a balance, and every child is different. And so I think you just find that balance of like, hey, do you want to try this? And if the kid says, hey, I want to do wrestling, all right, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And if it flops completely, then it flops, and that's okay. But yeah, trying to find that balance and experiencing the things that you're actually going through. Because at the end of the day, you and I know that it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
That your life does go on.
Yeah.
But for a child, I think it's just such a different experience. As a parent, watching your child go through something like that can be very difficult. So I would just encourage parents to feel all that they're feeling, to work through it as best as they can, seek counseling if they need to, and then from there, love their child the way they always would love their child, finding balance, in the life that they have now.
Hmm. Yeah, and I always say that children are very resilient. So, like I lost my vision. I started losing my vision at age 11, and I never really thought too much about it. It's just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
But granted, mine was very gradual and very slow. So it's not like I couldn't imagine going through what you went through, where it was that quick.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I also it's the old uh, better to have love and lose it or not have love at all.
Right, right.
Is it better to have driven and then not be able to drive, or better to not have ever driven at all? I kind of, in my opinion, it's better to not have done it at all. I would hate to have that freedom and then all of a sudden have that taken away from you. Um, so it's, growing up with vision loss, I think was easier for me.
Yeah. I think that question comes up. People ask, would you have rather lost your sight or been blind since birth? And for that question, I always say I'd rather have lost my sight
Mm-hmm.
because I have reference to things. You know, and I know what the color red looks like.
Yeah.
When somebody says, "Oh, it looks like this," I have a reference in my brain to what it looks like. And so I know what depth is. I don't have good depth perception, but I understand depth. I understand color and, you know, that sort of thing. So I'd rather lost my sight. But when it comes to like the driving thing, you're right. I understand what it's like to get in my car and just go, and now I can't. And so that's a little more difficult. But yeah, and somebody asked me once if I'd rather been deaf or blind. Which I don't know why people ask these questions. I'm like, what kind of question is this? Like, you sit around and think about this all the time.
Would you rather have lost your left leg or your right leg?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, but for me, I'm very musical, and so I can't imagine losing my hearing. Like, that would be detrimental. And so yeah, it's like sight, you know, that sort of thing. So
yeah, it's tough. It's tough no matter what you choose. Okay, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap it up with Derek. As I said before, check out his channel. He's got a lot of good videos, and he's putting them out pretty regularly. And it's a different take on vision loss than what you find on my channel. Like he said, he lost it at a later age in life, so he can relate to things differently than I can. So it's definitely, you want to subscribe to his channel, subscribe to my channel. Lots of good information on both. Derek, go ahead and give us your final words, and then how about do your outro for your channel?
All right. Well, just as a final word, yeah, I agree with Sam. That's the beautiful part of YouTube, that we both are talking about visually impaired things, but from different perspectives, different opinions, different life experiences, and all that sort of thing. So definitely subscribe to both, because I've learned a lot from Sam, and hopefully you will too, and maybe learn something from me. Who even knows? But that's the stuff. So, and the outro for my videos are always something very much like, hey, if you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and make sure to smash that subscribe button so you don't miss another single video. And until next time, my name's Derek, and I'll see you in the next one.
Excellent. Yes. Thank you guys for watching. As always, this is Sam with The Blind Spots. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button. If you want to stay up to date with videos coming out in the future, hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. This is Sam with The Blind Spot. I'll see you later.